Welcome or welcome back to the channel and another weekly horoscope. I'm so excited for this week. I feel like we all deserve a congratulations. We made it through the most challenging transits of the year. Like, eclipse season is nothing compared to what we just experienced. So, congratulations if you made it through. I mean, big round of applause. Give yourself a big round of applause because that was challenging. I'm a 1-3 profile in human design. I've been through some shit. And that these past few months were just so tough and so challenging. Celebrate you and celebrate life because we are on the other side of it, thank God. This is the start of everything new. This is the start of the new beginning. A lot of y'all have been asking me, when is this going to be over? When is this going to be over? When is the new beginning going to be here? It's here. We're not fully in it yet, because of Saturn and Neptune retrograde. And Uranus is going to go retrograde back into Taurus. So we are still going to have a reevaluation, a revisitation. Not to say it's going to be as bad as it was again. That's not what I'm saying. So don't let that scare you. I mean, none of this should scare you because it's all just helping you to understand what the energy is and how you can work with it. But we are going to have a reevaluation of everything, right? And so we're still kind of this is why I called this video rebuilding on a solid foundation, because that's really kind of what we're doing right now. We're reassessing okay, what worked, what didn't work, how can I learn from what didn't work and apply more of what did work and move forward with that in my life on a solid foundation, right? I myself have been adopting practices I had fallen off from, I'd forgotten from, drinking my lemon water every day, doing my yin yoga and stretching every day, going for walks every day, because the stress of the past few weeks, especially the last 2 weeks for me personally, I moved all my things into storage. I just up on a whim decided I'm gonna go on a road trip to Montana, and here I am. Never been here before. We're really just we might be in this new thing, this new sort of life, but we're still having to remember what helped us ground and what helped us to have a solid foundation in the past. As things have gotten shaken up, what did you forget about your practices and your routines that you really need in order to feel supported and to feel nurtured? Venus and Jupiter conjunct in Cancer right now. That's really the major lesson of that transit, or the major theme is what is going to help you to feel nourished and expanded and supported in this new beginning. So that is really the energy of this week, is just moving forward with those things. We're going to have Virgo season begin this upcoming weekend, and we're going to have a new moon in Virgo at 0 degrees, which is just an amplification of and the purest of the energy of that sign itself. So it's really about setting these intentions towards what you are building, and setting intentions towards organizing and refining and perfecting through action and through what needs to come back into your life as a central focus of maybe what has grounded you in the past. And like I said, you maybe have fallen off from through all the chaos and the stress of the recent weeks and months. So we're really just learning how to come back home to ourselves and to our practices and things that really help us to feel secure, supported, and at peace with life. I've been talking about a lot in my Instagram stories. If you follow me there, you might have seen I've been talking a lot about human design because I'm remembering my human design, and really it's been at the forefront of this experience for me of moving and picking where I want to road trip to and where I want to stay and where I want to go. And for me, I'm a Sag moon, so it's all kind of up in the air and I am just planning as I go. Very Sag moon of me. But I'm also following and living my human design, and that's been a huge remembrance for me, is really following that, because it is truly your user manual for how to navigate life and for how to go about making decisions in a way that is in alignment for you and your highest. So highly recommend looking into your human design, revisiting it. If you haven't heard about it, you can get your chart from my website, astrologyhumandesign.com, links in the description. You can get a custom report from my website as well. That's $25 and it will walk you through what everything in your chart means in practical terms, so you can really start applying it and living it to help you on your life path. So highly recommend looking into your human design as we navigate these changes and these new beginnings of what we're building and the new life that we're all kind of building right now. So without further ado, let's get into, love how that rhymed, the horoscope for this week. We're going to start with Aries. as always. So Aries Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your fourth house. You could be reevaluating things within your home life, your living situation. Going to be a big focal point of, the week for you, Aries, probably was last week as well, as we have everything that's in Cancer right now moving through your fourth house. But it might feel like it's challenging you and it's challenging your relationship. So it's kind of, this week is about finding how to balance all of that. Starting on Wednesday, you might be feeling a lot more creative. You might feel this creative kind of revamp, rebirth, renewal of your creative passions, and gotten more clarity on how you want to move forward with your creative passions or things related to creativity or passion or sex or dating. You might have gotten a lot more clarity, and that's going to come at an emotional level as well, starting on Wednesday and into the leading up to the new moon that we have on Saturday. That's going to be in your sixth house. So as we start Virgo season for you, Aries, it's really about what are your habits, what are your routines that are going to help support you through all of these changes and all of these challenges that are occurring. There's a lot of healing happening between your home, your family, your childhood, maybe even patternings, and you going on this week. And that's all going to come at the forefront of your focus and of your awareness is on, okay, how can I integrate what has been brought up in me, what has been triggered, what has been brought to my awareness of, like, I still need to work on, or I still need to grow. How can you implement those changes and build habits around them so that you have a solid foundation of, like, your routine and of how you're taking care of yourself, not only your physical health, but also your mental health as well, and maybe adopting spiritual practices along the way to help with that as well. I feel like is going to be a big theme of this new moon for you that we have Friday into Saturday. Later in the weekend, Saturday into Sunday, there might be a big emotional release around that. Like, as an example, if you start doing yin yoga, like, you might have this gnarly, like, just purge of emotions come up that are related to everything that you've been working through and growing and evolving out of old patternings. So that's the week ahead for you, Aries. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Taurus Rising, we start this week off with the moon in Cancer in your third house. You might be getting more clarity around your communication patterns or your daily habits as well, and kind of maybe how they're all tied into that. I feel like there's been a lot of mindset stuff for you coming up, and you might really struggle the first half of the week with kind of balancing what's coming up in your mental space, and maybe needing some alone time to deal with that, and also what is at the forefront of, like, you needing to take care of in your day-to-day, as well as your daily routines and your habits to, like, juggle and balance everything that has been coming up for you. I feel like there's just so much going on in every area of your life, and you're really kind of realizing you need to maybe have better structure or systems in place, Taurus, to deal with all of those things. As we get into the middle of the week on Wednesday, the moon is going to move into your fourth house. So you might be focused on real estate. You might be focused on your home, your family life, and kind of implementing or integrating things that the Mercury retrograde brought up in that area of your life, and how to move forward as we're wrapping up Leo season as well. The new moon for you is going to be in your fifth house. Virgo season begins on Friday. Friday into Saturday, we have the new moon in Virgo in your fifth house. So there could be new intentions you're setting or new beginnings you're having, or that are being brought to the forefront around your creative passions and pursuits, maybe related to what you let go of in July and how you want to do it differently, or how you want it to show up differently. This might also apply to your dating life, your romantic life. Take it as it resonates. But the fifth house is also the house of creativity and of passions, creative passions and pursuits and projects and things. So there might be some new intentions you're setting, or things that you're wanting to just streamline and refine about what you're doing and what you're creating and how you're sharing it with the world. There might be an emotional release around that on Saturday into Sunday, as we have the moon moving over the south node there. This is a big focal point of your life. So what is going on in your creative passions and pursuits that you are needing to let go of to make room and space for the new, or maybe refining the old and bringing a new spin to it in some sort of way. So that is the week for you, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Gemini, we start the week off with the moon in Cancer in your second house. You might get more emotional clarity around your money, around finances, But that might feel at odds, or it might feel at conflict with like your what's going on in your community and your long-term visions and goals, as well as your creative projects, pursuits, maybe dating too. Like it just kind of feels like these areas are at odds with one another, and you're really having to figure out how you want to juggle all of these things, whether it's like getting a system or a structure down that allows you to have what is that called where you like box your time or whatever? I forget what that's called, but you might have to get really clear on like just segmenting your days out, or just segmenting like, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to set aside like 30 minutes a day to focus on this so that you are taking care of what you need and things aren't falling off. Because it feels like there's just so much going on in different areas that you could really run the risk of letting things fall off that aren't going to benefit you long term. So making a kind of plan for yourself, even if it's just like getting a rough draft or talking to ChatGPT for something that could help, a container to for each thing that you need to do, is really going to help you moving forward. And that could also be a big theme of the Virgo new moon that we have over the weekend. But as we get later into the week, Wednesday, there could be something that comes up between emotionally, like your money, your values. Like it just feels like there's friction between where and how the money's coming in and what your long-term goals and visions are, or maybe even dealing with wounds and triggers as it relates to like your community, your friendships, maybe these deep-seated wounds from friends in the past, and maybe you're receiving like a lot of healing there in ways you didn't expect. As we get into Thursday, the moon is moving into your third house. It's going to move over Mercury later on Thursday, so you might get emotional clarity around whatever the Mercury retrograde brought up for you, making changes to your daily routine, where you go, who you're talking to, what you're doing on a daily basis, as well as like the stories you're telling yourself. I feel like there's a lot of positive change that's happening on a mental level for you as well, and really sticking to stories that are positive, that are going to bring you what you want as it relates to your long-term visions and goals, and not getting bogged down by old patternings and old stories that just don't serve you anymore. As we get into the weekend, on Friday, Virgo season begins in your fourth house. This is going to put the focus on your home. This is also where the new moon is going to be for you, in your home and your family area. You could be setting new intentions around home, getting just kind of wrapping things up or refining things in order to move homes, buy a home, further organize what's going on with your home or your possessions, and just kind of clear out space. Like it feels like you're just this renewal is happening within your living situation and your foundations. There might even be an emotional release around that Saturday into Sunday. As the moon moves over the south node, and there is kind of this energy of emotional release in your home, or related to childhood things as well, or family stuff too. So that's the week ahead for you, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Cancer Rising. We start the week off with the moon. Moving into your first house, this is going to feel like kind of an emotional renewal, an emotional reboot. I don't know how else to say that, but there's a lot of expansion happening in your sense of self and you. But it might also feel like it's at conflict with something that's going on in your career, especially Monday into Tuesday, as the moon is going to challenge Saturn and Neptune. There might be something that emotionally you're having to come to terms with that it just feels like challenging, doesn't feel very good. But then as we get later into the week, Tuesday into Wednesday, Wednesday into Thursday, there's more of this energy again of emotional expansion and emotional renewal, and maybe this healing of a wound that has maybe been resurfacing through your career, related to your sense of self. As we get into Thursday, the moon moves into your second house of money. It's going to move over Mercury later on Thursday, so there might be this emotional clarity around your finances, around your money, maybe around some new creative pursuit as it relates to how you want to make money, or a side hustle, something like that. Maybe you're investing in education around how to make your side hustle successful, or that kind of thing. There's this emotional clarity around things that are going to feel fun to you that you need to prioritize, and maybe again we're a theme of the Mercury retrograde for you as well. As we get into Friday and into the weekend, we begin Virgo season in your third house of communication, day-to-day errands, where you're going, who you're talking to. Also, your internal communication is very third house. There could be this sudden shift or this sudden change in energy as it relates to your mindset around things, maybe like this big epiphany of just choosing to see things differently, or choosing to do things differently, Again, maybe really acting on and integrating some clarity you received from the Mercury retrograde after it ended. And you're like, it's like an aha moment of like, oh, this is what I have to change. But it might not be comfortable at first to have that realization, but ultimately it is going to be beneficial for you moving forward. And then because of that, there could be some emotional release around whatever this is for you on Sunday as the moon moves over the south node there. And that's your week ahead, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Leo Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 12th house. I feel like the first half of the week you might be very much in reflective mode, very much in hermit mode. There might be something that emotionally really challenges your internal stories about life, about relationships, about your sense of self. There might be a lot changing for you as far as like how you're viewing life. There might have been somebody in your life that really triggered this kind of internal transformation that you didn't expect to just happen all of a sudden. And it's really causing you to take a big step back from the outside world and kind of go within and really spend a lot of time processing and like reflecting on everything that has transpired over the last couple months. Then as we get later into the week, Wednesday into Thursday, the moon's going to move over Jupiter and then Venus. It is going to challenge Chiron. So again, there could be some trigger that comes up, some wound that comes up, maybe like really having you question your conditioning of like, oh, I thought life could only be this one way. And actually now my whole world has been blown open and I'm realizing like there's so many other ways I could live my life and now I don't know what to do kind of thing. It's like an existential crisis, but at like a core level. And I don't mean that to scare anybody. It's like actually happening for your highest good, but in the moment when you're like questioning everything you've ever known, it can seem really scary and uncomfortable, but honestly, it's propelling you into a better life for yourself and something that is more aligned with your desires and maybe you've seen for some time, but like never allowed yourself to realize was possible for you. And now you're realizing like, oh, I could actually have that, like if I work towards it, which is really illusion shattering, which is really perspective altering. Then as we get into Thursday, the moon moves into your first house. I feel like there's going to be this kind of come out of the shell moment, this emotional renewal happening for you. Maybe you get some emotional clarity around your sense of self and around these changes you're realizing you want to make to yourself and to your life in general. Maybe again, like integrating everything that has been coming up the last few weeks, especially during that Mercury retrograde we had on Thursday. The moon's going to move over Mercury. It could give you some emotional clarity around how to move forward based on what you reevaluated and reassessed during the retrograde period. Then as we get into the weekend, Friday into Saturday, we're going to have the new moon in Virgo. Virgo season begins in your second house. This is good for your money. There's this illumination of your finances in some way. There's this new beginning in your finances in some way. Maybe this is starting a new job or getting a new job or finally feeling like hopeful about changes you've been wanting to make to your money or have been making to your money. And there's this sense of, okay, this is how I want to move forward. This is what needs to happen. This is the intentions that I'm setting, kind of thing as we get into the weekend. And on Sunday, there could be some big emotional release around that as we have the moon move over the south node and opposite the north node. So that's the week ahead for you, Leo Rising. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Virgo Rising. We start the week off with the moon moving into your 11th house of long-term goals and visions. It is going to challenge Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house. So that could bring up maybe just some emotional challenges or conflict around your shared resources, debt, taxes, inheritance, anything like that. I feel like, again, there's this emotional challenge of like, am I doing what I want to be doing with my money, or do I want to do something differently with where money is coming in and then what I'm doing with it once it comes in kind of energy. There could be an emotional illumination around that Tuesday into Wednesday as the moon moves over Jupiter and Venus. There could also be some further healing, maybe triggered through a community member or through social media around money for you. I feel like money has been such a huge focus. And this is kind of like the wrapping up of all of the cycles that you've been healing, the patterns you've been realizing you no longer want to live from. As we get into the middle of the week, Wednesday, again, that's going to be what I just spoke to is going to be amplified as the moon moves over Venus, challenges Chiron on Wednesday, and then the moon is going to move into Leo later on Wednesday, and it's going to be opposite Pluto. So there could be this emotional transformation, this emotional clarity around making those changes to your physical reality that you realize on an internal level you want to make. This could also provide you some emotional clarity in your mental space based around whatever the Mercury retrograde brought up for you, because the moon is going to move over Mercury now that it's direct and bring an emotional focus to that mental focus of really what has been reevaluated in terms of your deep subconscious. I feel like this is a good day for like really breaking through any limiting beliefs or busting free from subconscious habits that have been kind of running your show that you don't want to be affecting your reality so much anymore. As we get into Friday, as we get into the weekend, Friday, the moon is going to move over the sun in Leo and then move into Virgo. Um, and then we have the new moon. Virgo season begins in your first house. We have the new moon in Virgo in your first house. This is a big renewal energy, like big, not only emotional renewal, but like a renewal of your joy, renewal of your sense of self, renewal of your personality. Like you've been going through a lot of identity changes, a lot of identity refinement, sense of self changes. And this new moon, Virgo, for you is about really setting intentions to solidify in that new version of yourself that you've been stepping into. And there might be some emotional release around that actually on Sunday as the moon is going to move over the south node in your first house as well. So it might be like you set these intentions and you get clear on. It's funny I said clear. Maybe listen to your intuition around the time of the new moon as well. You might be hearing some things that are going to be important for this. But getting clear on this new you and setting intentions, and then, okay, like what else is left to release in order to fully like step into it and have this rebirth, this renewal in a really big way. So that's the week I had for you, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Libra Rising. We start the week off on Monday with the moon moving into your 10th house of career. This is a really good time to be showing up to the world, to be posting on social media, to be putting yourself out there. You might even be feeling more creatively recharged now that Mercury is direct in your 11th house. But also the moon on Monday, when it moves into Cancer, is going to challenge Saturn and Neptune. So there might also be this like emotional clarity or challenging, conflicting thing that happens with somebody in your life that gives you emotional clarity on how to move forward in your career, or maybe you're wanting to share more about your kind of struggles in relationships to help other people not have to go through the same painful mistakes. As we get later into the week, Tuesday into Wednesday, the moon is going to move over Jupiter and then Venus in your 10th house. On Wednesday, it is going to challenge Chiron. So again, there could be some emotional wound or trigger that's brought up through a relationship that maybe challenges something about your career or your public image. But I do feel like with the moon over Venus, it's like really just stay firm in your standards, your boundaries, your values. And there might again be this kind of cathartic emotional release that happens when you share what's going on with the world in a maybe kind of vulnerable sense in order to again like help other people with what you have experienced, because our mess is our medicine. And I feel like you're really learning that with all these transits in your 10th house of like how to nurture and support other people through your own challenges and what they have taught you about life and yourself. On Thursday, we have the moon moving into Leo in your 11th house. It's going to harmonize with Saturn and Neptune again, kind of bringing this harmony to that energy that was previously challenging earlier in the week. Then the moon is going to move over Mercury, giving this emotional clarity around maybe what came up, themes that came up during the retrograde, and how to move forward with sharing yourself to the world on social media, your community, your friend groups. You might be feeling kind of social unexpectedly these couple days as well as we get into the weekend. Friday into Saturday, we have Virgo season beginning in your 12th house. This might kind of trigger like hermit mode a little bit. It might kind of be like, okay, I really need to look at these things within myself that have been brought up through other people or through your career, through your public image. It's kind of like the final, like closing out of a big chapter. And as we have the new moon on Saturday in Virgo in your 12th house, it's going to challenge Uranus in your ninth house. There might be a big perspective shift that happens suddenly. You might just start to see life differently and maybe open up to things you didn't really expect to want to be open to, but then all of a sudden you are, and you're like, oh, actually, this is the direction I'm heading with all of this stuff. There could be a big emotional release around that as well on Sunday, when the moon moves over the south node and in your 12th house. This could also be some really big breakthroughs as it relates to subconscious patterning, conditioning, things that maybe you felt stuck with for quite some time. This could be the final kind of push to purge out whatever is there that you don't want running your world underneath the surface anymore. So that's the week ahead for you, Libra. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Scorpio Rising. We start the week off on Monday with the moon moving into your ninth house. You could be getting some clarity around a perspective shift, seeing things differently. Now that Mercury is direct in your 10th house, I feel like you're taking a lot of action, or at least there's a lot of potential for momentum in your career, and maybe just sharing things with the world that maybe you wanted to keep hidden, but you realize, like, oh, actually, this is going to benefit people and maybe build a career for yourself. So it's time to start putting yourself out there if you haven't already. There's a lot of potential for that right now, and that's going to be amplified as we get later into the week. There could be something on Wednesday that comes up that's a little bit emotionally triggering as it relates to that. It could really have you question again how you're viewing life and the stories you're telling yourself. Maybe even also have you reevaluate your routine as it relates to taking care of your physical body, supporting yourself in the ways that you need. As we get into Thursday, the moon's going to move over Mercury in your 10th house. This could give some emotional clarity around how to communicate your passions with the world and share your passions with the world in a way and that's going to, again, build this new kind of career for you, and really just help you to have an outlet for what you love and create more space for that in your life. It's like that saying, like, what you focus on grows. And this is like, how can you focus more on your passions and your joy and share more of that with the world, in order to have more joy in your life? And life will feel more fulfilling as well. As we get into the weekend, Friday, we have the moon moving over the sun in Leo before the sun goes into Virgo. It's like this big kind of switch up. Like what needs to like be wrapped up in your career, what needs to further be integrated and acted on. And then as we start Virgo season later on Friday and have the new moon in Virgo in your 11th house, on Saturday, early on Saturday. It's really about setting intentions towards your long-term goals and visions and making refinements that maybe life has kind of shown to you lately you want to make. And next week we're gonna have Venus in your 10th house. I mean, this is the time. Like, I feel like I've been saying this for weeks, Scorpio, but this is the time to be putting yourself out there and sharing yourself. And there might be a lot of clarity that comes over the weekend around how to do that. And how, yeah, just what structures or systems you need, foundation you need in order to be able to do that in a sustainable way. So that's the week ahead for you, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Sagittarius. We start the week off on Monday with the moon moving into your 8th house. There could be this emotional focus the first half of the week on your shared resources, your debt, your taxes, your inheritance, anything related to like money and maybe sharing money with other people or getting money from other people. There's a lot of potential there for expansion as well, and maybe just refining what you're doing with extra money, like how you're saving, how you're investing, like where you're putting it so that it grows, and supports you. As we get later into the week, Tuesday into Wednesday, the moon's going to move over Jupiter again, kind of this emotional expansion, related to money, especially shared resources. There could also be a sort of spiritual awakening happening early in the week. Maybe you've been feeling kind of spacey or weird, and it's like all of a sudden you realize you have a heightened sense of intuition in some way. And then as we get into Wednesday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron in your 5th house, so there could be some emotional challenges between that and like your dating life, your romantic life, or maybe your creative passions and pursuits. Um, then as we get later into the week, Thursday, the well, actually later on Wednesday and then into Thursday, the moon moves into your ninth house in Leo. It's going to harmonize with Saturn and Neptune in your fifth. So there could be this like emotional kind of breakthrough as it relates to how you want to share these changes that you're experiencing, or what you want to do differently. It also feels like there's a big opportunity right now for this big perspective shift. You're just kind of viewing things differently than you have before, like seeing life through new eyes, especially after Mercury went direct. And then on Thursday, like I said, the moon's going to move over Mercury, providing this emotional clarity around that. As we get into the weekend, Friday, Virgo season begins. There's kind of this big switch of energy from Leo to Virgo. So it's kind of like what needs to be wrapped up in terms of how you're viewing life, maybe how you're even sharing your gifts too, or things related to travel might be kind of coming to a close as well. Or maybe like travel is helping you wrap up a cycle in some way, around a creative passion or pursuit. And then as we get into the weekend, Saturday, we have the new moon in Virgo in your 10th house. There's this opportunity to set intentions around what's changed in your career, and what new beginning you want to have and refine, in your career and really step into. And there could be some emotional purge or release around that on Sunday as the moon moves over the south node, in your area of career. Maybe also too with this new moon, on Saturday, there could be some unexpected shift around your career and relationships that maybe feels like the two are kind of conflicting or challenging one another, but I do feel it's going to propel you into some sort of evolution around it. So that's the week ahead for you, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Capricorn Rising. We start the week off on Monday with the moon in your 7th house. You could be emotionally focused on relationships at this time, first half of the week. You could be meeting new people, or just kind of reevaluating what people in your life really nourish you in a way that feels reciprocal and what people do not. You may also kind of struggle on Monday with balancing what's going on in your home, your relationships, and your career. Kind of feels like there needs to be some reevaluation of your time, where you're spending it, how much time you're spending on certain things, so you can really be doing all the things you want to in the ways that you want to, and not burn yourself out or feel scattered. As we get later into the week, Tuesday into Wednesday, the moon moves over Jupiter and then over Venus in your 7th house. So again, there could be this very big potential and opportunity for emotional support through other people, through a relationship, or just people in your life in general who are really just showing up unexpectedly to nourish you and support you in the ways that you need. But as we get into Wednesday, there could be an emotional challenge or conflict that happens between something in your home or your family, and somebody else in your life. Then later on Wednesday, the moon's going to move into Leo, into your 8th house. It's going to oppose Pluto, so there could be some sudden shift emotionally around money or finances, or how you're viewing all that stuff. Maybe getting more clarity around your money, what you want to do with it, how you want to invest it, especially on Thursday as the moon moves over Mercury. You could get this emotional clarity around acting on changes within your money, your finances, that maybe were a kind of theme for you, or something you were reassessing and reevaluating during the Mercury retrograde. And now you have this emotional clarity on how you want to move forward with that. As we get into the weekend, later on Friday, the sun moves into Virgo in your 9th house, and we have the moon shortly joining it, Friday into Saturday, with the new moon in Virgo. It's going to challenge Uranus in your 6th house, so there could be some sudden like shift around how you're viewing life. There could be a sudden shift around, mm, like where you're going and who you're talking to and what you're doing. Could also be this change of like, I want to take care of myself better, or I want to have these things implemented in my daily routine to take better care of my mental and physical health. Maybe also feeling more social, into the weekend as well with this new moon. There could be some emotional release on Sunday around how you're viewing life. This might create some emotional epiphany around your perspective, a perspective shift, a story change, how you're talking to yourself. The internal stories that are creating your external reality could really have this clarity, this breakthrough moment, over the weekend, and propel you into some really positive shifts. So that's the week for you, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Aquarius Rising. We start the week off on Monday with the moon in your 6th house. It will be challenging Saturn and Neptune in your 3rd, so this could really bring up some emotional conflict, between how you're nourishing yourself on a daily basis and what you're also pulled to on a daily basis. It's like you have all these things to do, but you also need to focus on taking care of yourself. And that's kind of coming back into your focus is like, okay, what fell off because I was so busy and stressed, and how can I reintegrate it back into my life? That could really be the focus of the first half of the week, especially Tuesday into Wednesday, as on Wednesday, we're going to have the moon move over Venus, and they're both going to be challenging Chiron in your third. So this can really bring up some wounds or triggers around, again, where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis, and also maybe the stories that you're telling yourself, your internal kind of communication, your self-talk, and how maybe you're realizing like a lot of it doesn't benefit your health. It maybe takes you away from things that are going to add to your health. Does that make sense? Then, as we get later into Wednesday, the moon moves into Leo. It opposes Pluto in your first. There could be some big emotional transformation or pull between your relationships and yourself. What's changing about yourself, what's changing about your identity, and where your emotion or your relationships might be pulling you away from that or supporting it. It's again, this week, Aquarius, is really about like what in your life supports where you're going and what doesn't, and like kind of needing to clean house, clean shop. There might be some emotional clarity you receive on Thursday around that, especially as it relates to whatever was coming up during the Mercury retrograde in your relationships. You might be reevaluating, again, who's in your life and who's supporting you versus who is not, in the ways that you need to move forward and to feel like nourished and supported by the people around you and in life itself and what you're building and what you're doing. As we get into the weekend, Virgo season begins on Friday. In your eighth house of shared resources, there might also be this focus of investment or doing things differently with your money. You might get more clarity around that Friday into Saturday as we have the new moon in Virgo, setting intentions there. What do you want to change about your finances, your shared resources? Maybe even a bigger focus on your internal world, your internal psyche, and maybe what things within yourself have been kind of perpetuating patterns and cycles that you no longer want to live from. There could be a big emotional release related to that on Sunday as the moon moves over the south node in your eighth house. There could be this big emotional breakthrough within your psyche, and that propels you into kind of transformation. So that's the week ahead for you, Aquarius. Feels really, how do I say that? Like, I don't know, charged with transformation and rebirth. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Okay, Pisces Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your fifth house on Monday. This is going to be an emotional focus on your creative passions and pursuits. You might even be feeling this renewal of creativity or of what you're passionate about and wanting to share it more with the world. But as we get later into the week, Wednesday specifically, there could be some trigger that comes up around your money related to that. Maybe feeling like what you're creating isn't like the dollar amount you're attaching to it isn't actually what it is valued at, and you're maybe having to really face like limiting beliefs that would have you charge less than what your work is um how do I say that? Like charge less than what you should receive for your work because there's wounds there, there's conditioning there that you're really having to face on Wednesday. Then later on Wednesday, there could be some emotional transformation, some emotional shift related to that as the moon is going to move into Leo in your sixth house and oppose Pluto in your 12th. There could be this mental breakthrough of, again, your kind of subconscious, like in wounds and patternings and things that you realize like, oh, this actually stems from this, and I can just see it differently and I can just change it, and then that will change like my experience with it in actual reality. So it feels like the discomfort kind of propels you into some sort of positive transformation. As we get into Thursday, there could be a further emotional clarity around that as the moon moves over Mercury in your sixth house. This is kind of the energy of emotional clarity on what came up during the Mercury retrograde. What were you reevaluating as it relates to your physical health, your work, your routine, and how are you moving forward with those changes now that Mercury is direct? And especially as on Thursday the moon's going to move over it, this could provide you with some emotional clarity on what needs to change, and how to align yourself with more joy in your day to day and feel good with like life and what you're doing. As we get into the weekend, on Friday we start Virgo season in your seventh house. This is going to put the focus on your relationships. There could be a sudden shift that challenges your home life in your relationships. Especially going to be a theme of the new moon Friday into Saturday that we have in your seventh house, challenging Uranus in your fourth. Again, there could be just something maybe chaotic that happens in your home or something unexpected within a relationship or meeting somebody or setting intentions towards meeting somebody. So maybe you have more stability in your home kind of thing. And things don't feel as chaotic, but there's some sort of like compromise you're going to have to reach as it relates to that, maybe around other people in your life. Or yeah, I just feel like there's this need to refine your approach to relationships, and it's somehow related to like chaos happening in your home life. There could be an emotional release around that on Sunday as the moon moves over the south node in your area of relationships. There could be this emotional breakthrough of like needing to let somebody go or needing to just kind of change how you're approaching relationships in general, or dating as well. I mean, those both those areas are really lit up for you right now, so you might be getting a lot of clarity around romance, dating, relationships, and how to navigate them moving forward, aligned with the new identity you've stepped into and where you're headed with your long-term goals and visions that is maybe different than where you were headed before. So that's the week ahead for you, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. All right, let me see what y'all have to say in the chat. Hey, Tori. Oh my God, I feel like it's been so long. You look so pretty. Thank you. I think it's the combination of the lighting. This Airbnb that I'm in is like so filled with natural light. I love it. Hi, Mally. Hello, loves. I've been tuning into your astrology weekly recaps. Amazing. Thanks for being here. Hi, Gigi Kisses. I hope y'all's horoscopes resonate with you. Please let me know. Love to hear from you guys, as always. It really helps me just know that I'm not, I don't know, rambling. Because sometimes I'm like, this is so specific. Like, is it going to resonate? Anyways, we all have imposter syndrome. We all have self-doubt from time to time. I'm not exempt just because I show up here every week. So, yeah, thanks for being here. I'll see you next week or in the next video. I hope you'll have a wonderful one. And bye for now. Love you.